I'm kind of a fan of the MacBook Air. Shocking, right? I've made at least 100 videos over the years extolling the virtue of these tiny yet powerful machines. A little over a month ago, Apple announced the latest M4 variant, and there was only one thing to do. What was that, Gary? Oh yeah, it was buy one and then I guess use it as my only computer for a month straight.
It's been way longer than a month. It's been almost 2 months. Don't mind that guy.
So how did it go? Well, you know, better and worse than I expected. First off, let's start about the specific model of MacBook used over the past month to at least baseline our own understandings of what we're dealing with today. This is the base model, cheapest 13-inch M4 MacBook Air. It comes with a 10-core M4 standard processor, 16 gigabytes of unified memory, more on this later, 8-core GPU, and a 256 gigabyte solid-state drive, all for about $999. And as a quick note, nobody is sponsoring this video. Nobody gave me this laptop. I paid that $999 plus tax out of my own wallet. This does come in a few different colors. This version, can you even tell? This is the sky blue finish. And if you can't tell it's blue through the video, don't worry. You can't really tell in person either way. It's like a slightly cooler, like colder in color temperature, like the light color temperature, not like it's physically colder. Either way, it's like a cooler space gray. As I've said, I've used this as my only computer for more than a month now, and in that time frame, I've worn 3 different hats of use cases. Oh, my hair's gross. That's how we're gonna break down the likes and dislikes today, through the lenses of those different people. Not that I have like different personalities. That would be crazy than normal. First up, build quality. Let's hand it over to student Gary. Ooh, thanks, regular Gary. In my hat as a student, which I guess means I don't have any hat, let's talk the build quality, physical characteristics of the computer. And some of the things that I really like about the M4 Air because of that is, just look at how small this is. This is something that I'm continuously surprised about with these MacBook Airs. You forget just how small they are. After you've used one for a little bit, it's just like, oh, this is how heavy a computer is. And then you try a different version. You try like a MacBook Pro, or you try another like Chromebook or Ultrabook, and they're so heavy and chunky compared to this. Legitimately, I think the MacBook Air is probably the pinnacle of laptop chassis design. Which also leads me into the next thing I've liked, is the build quality continues to be fantastic. Yes, this is not what I would call a cheap laptop. $1,000 is expensive, but I've used other $1,000 laptops that don't feel nearly as good as this. The hinges of this laptop are so good. It has been a real, and I don't want to say pleasure, because I've not had that much fun working through this MBA, but the physical design of this computer has not held me back, and it's been great. But okay, enough boring school stuff. Let's hand it over to Gamer Dad Gary to see how the computer works for gaming. Woo! Okay, thanks, student me. Yes, Gamer Dad Gary wears his hat backwards. So, student me was also a little incorrect. We're not necessarily talking just about gaming, we're talking about the performance as a whole. And comparing this against previous MacBook Airs and even older MacBook Pros, there is good and bad when it comes to performance. When compared to MacBook Airs in the past, this provides excellent power for daily or even that other student guy's tasks. However, that's not that impressive anymore. The M1 MacBook Air, released 5 years ago, could say the same. Yes, if you look at it like a spec nerd, you can see that the M4 is technically more powerful than the M1, but that doesn't exactly do too much for me, practically speaking, anymore. Yes, the M1 is showing its age at this point, but not as much as like a 5-year-old Intel processor might in the same use case. One of the things though that has been really nice about the M4 is the standard memory bump from 8 gigabytes to 16 gigabytes of unified memory standard. I have noticed that I can be less vigilant about memory management on this model. Previous MacBooks with 8 gigabytes, they've always worked fine for me, but I did have to be very careful about leaving any programs open unless I was exactly working on them at that given time. 16 gigabytes of standard is, yeah, that's probably what you need for a modern computer. Gaming on any MacBook is never a premium experience, but for my types of games, this does all right. I've used this to raid through WoW Classic Anniversary with little problem, so long as I set the graphics to a moderate level. I've played a few other versions of old dad gamer games, and they all work fine. Where I generally run into issues is, well, first off, not all games can be played on Mac, so my recent playthrough of Dragon Age 2 had to be done on my PC, and even Lunar Silver Star Story, which came out this morning, like the remaster came out today, and I'm waiting to play it so that we can do this right now. can't play it on MacBook, so all that's got to be done on my PC or my PlayStation. But where the MacBook has struggled for me over the past month or so is when I play games like I've put 100+ hours into The Bazaar. That game can find itself struggling when the particle effects get going, which is crazy because it's just like a card auto battler game and you wouldn't think the computer would struggle. In fairness, I'm not sure if that's an indictment of the MacBook Air or the optimization of The Bazaar, but I'm irritated and I'm gonna make that everybody's problem. For positives though, in a gaming versatility setting, I very much like that the standard MacBook Air can now push displays out to 2 external displays. It's driven me crazy for literal years that the Apple processor version of their MacBook Airs could only do single displays, when even the Intel MacBook Airs could be multiple. Though it does kind of suck though that this update hits right as working from home seems to be on the decline, so it's probably not as exciting of an update today as it would have been a couple years ago, but better late than never, I guess. That's not to say the laptop isn't powerful, and you kind of have to take a step back from the internet tech bubble to really understand how usefully powerful these MacBook Airs are. In my day job, I spend many hours a day doing all my work stuff via an i7 that's from way before the COVID era. It struggles to keep Teams, Outlook, and PowerPoint open all at the same time, but I guess it technically does it, so it has enough power, right? The MacBook Air laughs when I do the same thing for my schoolwork, and it makes literally no noise. I know that's not really the gaming dad exciting RGB thing to talk about, but I feel that specific type of usable power gets glossed over when talking about the latest generation of tech, and you know, I think that's more useful. I always grab this. When it's like, hey, I want to play a couple rounds of The Bazaar, I grabbed this, even though I'm past the challenge of the video, right? The convenience is just so good. Now let's hand it over to the boring business program manager guy. Here you go, Gary.
Whew, and hey, you know what? That's not fair, gamer Gary. Doing business stuff, it's not all boring. Making PowerPoint presentations, super exciting. And I get it, we're in the car right now. You actually find me in the place that I've been using this laptop a lot. Yes, my car has quickly turned into a little portable office for me. I'm very often bringing my son to scouting, soccer practice, any other thing that he does. It inevitably becomes that he goes and does his practice or meeting or whatever, and then I get some work done in the car. This script was written from my car on the MacBook Air. Hold on, I gotta back myself up. Boop, boop, boop. Look at this. You're not gonna be able to see it. And like no kidding, that's the thing that I've enjoyed most in my experiment. I, no kidding, fit this laptop in the space between my car seat and my center console. I grab it when I'm ready, I charge it from my weak carport charger, and I just keep working. It's small enough to fit on my lap. The keyboard is perfect for this little space that I find myself in. It's just so good. However, though, it's not all perfect. And keen-eyed and eared observers will notice that I've avoided talking about the main competition for the computer during the video, the M2 and the M3 MacBook Airs. Honestly, almost everything that I've said here today could also be said about those previous models. You could find and replace M2 with M4, and I'd probably say the same thing, minus the external display support and the 16 gigabytes of memory standard part. The key difference here being $300, almost a third of the price to get the older model that looks, acts, and behaves nearly identical. Could you run benchmarks to see a difference? Yes. Absolutely, you could, and I'm sure people have. Could you tell the difference in the use case scenario in which somebody that would actually buy a MacBook Air would notice the difference? Probably not. Without a doubt, the M4 Macbook Air is my favorite MacBook Air ever, which, as MacBook Airs are my favorite computers, means that this is probably my favorite computer that I've ever owned. It's so good, I always have it with me, even if I'm carrying my work computer. It's so light, I can barely tell that it's there, and sometimes it's just nice to have a computer this small and powerful. But would I recommend you buy one though? That's real tough, especially as the world economic outlook is looking pretty rough at the time of making this video. Tariffs are going to cause new tech to spike pretty substantially, and some brands are just going to stop selling new products or taking pre-orders because of the price that's about to hit us. I think that makes already existing products even more attractive than they already are. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I'm always recommending refurbished purchases, and I really have to say that you should probably pass on this and go refurbished M2 or M3. If you are even more risk averse and you want to avoid like any kind of problems and be able to upgrade all your own stuff anyway, you could probably do a lot of the same stuff if you go out and get a ThinkPad or some older enterprise style laptop that lets you replace everything inside of it. You can then use that to coast yourself through this current technological uncertainty. Look, the M4 Macbook Air is amazing. It's just the right laptop at the wrong time. But what about you? Did you purchase one? Are you planning on purchasing one? Are you just holding out to see what happens? Let us all know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Now I get to take my tie off. You guys have a great day.